I thought that it would be appropriate to make a short video to help people to make their structured and energised water. So we're going to walk you through the process. We're going to start with the distilling process, then adding or re-adding in the minerals. Then we're going to use a vortexing process, followed by hydrogenating water, and finally by using a new light technology which uses photons. That, without a shadow of a doubt, is the fastest, easiest and most convenient way to make energised water. The first process is the distilling stage, and as you can see here in our utility room, we have two distillers. They look very similar, but they are slightly different, and Sarah will show you the difference between the two of them.
There aren't huge differences. Basically, this one's got a handle, and this one doesn't. Not that I tend to pick it up by that anyway. Once they're in position, they don't tend to get moved very much, other than for rinsing out and, you know, replenishing with water. But you can do that mostly just using the jugs. So the one on the right is a digital distiller, and that one has just finished its cycle. So we've got a full jar of distilled water here. If I were to turn that one on, basically I just push that and it goes to 107 degrees, and that will get all the water inside it to boil, and then that would come through the system. I'm going to turn it off again, but basically that's all you would do to get it started, but other than filling it with water. The one on the left is just a little bit, I think, a little bit simpler to use, and essentially what you do is you start by taking the lid off. What I tend to do is just put it like that and lean it up against there. Then I fill the jug with hot water, because that will speed up the process.
When you say speed up the process, obviously distilling is pretty much boiling the water, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a boiling and condensing process. So there's a line in the distiller that says fill or full. So that's as far as you will go. You don't have to fill it all the way. If you only want a small amount, you can actually get away with, you know, doing half of one. It doesn't really matter. I tend to go to the line because then I can leave it and not have to think about it.
Obviously the reason why we've got two distillers is to try both out, but obviously we get plenty of guests here, so we've pretty much got both of our distillers on the go all the time, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, I put each of them on probably once a day, maybe twice a day. Just depends on how many.
Just before you close the lid, Sarah, let's just have a look at the stains in there. A little bit of the coloration, as people can see. It's not, or it doesn't look particularly clean. And the reason for that is?
Well, whatever's in the water obviously ends up in the distiller, in the body of the distiller. So we have very peaty soil. And obviously it's mineral rich, actually. It's probably very good water. So what we're getting is we get a lot of mud in the bottom of the distiller. I know if you live in a town where they've put various things into the water, what you'll get is like a grey sludge, which is essentially metals, aluminium and stuff like that, which is not great. So we don't get any of that here because we've got a stream. The reason we distill it is because we don't want to drink brown water. And we can then put back in the things, which we'll show you in a minute. We want to put back in the things that we want to be in our water.
And just regarding the cleansing, how often would you clean it?
Oh, golly, I clean it a couple of times a week.
Can you not call me a golly?
Right, I'm going to close that up. So just make sure that the lid is on properly, because obviously if it isn't on properly, then when it starts to boil, you'll find that the steam will just come out and all the water will disappear, and then you'll kill the distiller because it will overheat. So then I just put that underneath, make sure the nozzle is here. They do actually give you these sorts of things which are supposed to help with, I don't know, I mean, I've never bothered with that because there doesn't seem to be any point. It goes straight in the hole. And then you push the button. And it's that simple. So I will then leave that, because it's gone in with really hot water. It probably only needs, and it'll probably take an hour and a half. maybe 2 max, depending on the temperature of the water that goes in. If you put in cold water, it could take 4 to 5 hours. So, you know, if you want to speed up the process, it's better off just running the tap and getting the hot water.
Okay, and so if you want to grab the jug, we'll move on to phase 2.
Indeed.
So phase 2 is where we re-mineralise the water. Now for our ease, what we do is we've got an old Niken, should I say, water filter here, where we've taken the water filter out, but as you can see there's a dispensing nozzle at the front. So the first thing we do is obviously we fill up the compartment at the top just by pouring the water in.
I call it a reservoir.
Indeed you do. So basically all we're doing there is just putting the distilled water into an old desktop Niken water filter, but as you can see from the hole at the back, the water filter has been removed. We're just using this for the convenience that we've got obviously the facility just to dispense the water from the front. Now if you can see in the left hand side, there is a little stick, or 2 actually. We've got 2 in there. Do you want to explain what those are, Sarah?
Yes, what I've put in the bottom are, firstly I put in some stones that I had from Niken, which are re-mineralisation stones, which are good. And I've only left them in because, you know, they don't really run out of stone minerals very quickly. But eventually I'll have to take those out. But we also put in these mineralising sticks. So there's 2 in there. I put one in about a month and a half ago, and then I put another one in a month later, just so that I've always got them covered. So I'll probably put another stick in about a month and a half, 2 months time, and take the first one out.
Great, thank you. Now that we've got the distilled water which has been remineralised, we're going to take some of that water and put it into a vortexer. So basically this is a simple procedure whereby there is some copper paddles on the inside and some magnets on the outside, and what we're going to do is we're going to give this water a spin with a vortexer. But before we do so, you will see here that we're going to add first of all an electrolyte. So we just add a little pinch of the electrolyte inside it, and then the vortexing process lasts for about 30 seconds. So we'll just show you how this operates. The button at the front. So just 30 seconds for this to go through the vortexing process. This is obviously just one method that we're showing you. And once this is finished, what we like to do is to add additional hydrogen, and therefore we use a hydrogen flask. So this should finish now, just around about 30 seconds, and then Sarah will add it into the hydrogen flask.
This is a bit of a long and drawn out process, but it does work.
So what's happening now is this is the hydrogen flask, and with the vortex water in there with the electrolyte, this will now further hydrogenate the water and add additional hydrogen into it. And if I look up closely, you can probably see the bubbles starting to rise from there as hydrogen is added to this water. We are now 3 minutes in, so that's what it's taken, 3 minutes to add the additional hydrogen to the water. So quite simply, we can literally just pour these 2 glasses of water now, and we have structured water. Now, what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to bypass all this and use a new light technology, which we're about to show you now. Let's now look at the alternative and what I believe much more simpler process to structure and energize water. So Sarah's just going to take a glass of the water that's been previously distilled with a mineralizing stick, and we'll take this over to the table. And what we're going to do this time is Sarah's going to get her mobile phone, and on there is the light technology. So the light technology, let's call it an app for want of a better word. As you can see from the screen, it says welcome and recharge. So over to you, Sarah, to recharge this water. So there's different ways and means of doing this. You can either stand your glass of water on the torch light that comes out of the phone, or you can just put it at the side of the glass and shine the light from there, or you can even put it into the top of the glass. And as you can hear, there's a lovely 432 Hertz tune that's going on, of which you can leave turned on or turn off. And this is the process that, as you will have seen from the recent podcast we did with Phil, takes about 40 seconds. And there we go, that's finished. So we now have a quite simple glass of structured energised water. Thank you, Sarah.
Can I drink it now?
You can, yes.